You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast hosted by Matt Franks and Zach Bechtold. We hope you enjoy this week's show, and you can find out more about us by going online at beardedtheologians.com, where you can pick up a few t-shirts, listen to a few old episodes, and find ways that you can connect with us. Thank you for listening. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
So this week on the podcast, we're looking at Psalm 1. We've never looked at it before.
Ever.
This
is the first time we're ever reading it.
Ever reading it.
They skip right to Psalm 23 in seminary. That's just kind of the...
I'm surprised you knew where this... Oh, wait a minute. You don't know where the Psalms were. You had to use
It's in the middle. It's in the middle-ish. So, all joking aside, we'll take a gander at Psalm 1. It's a steaming 6 verses long. So Psalm 1 out of the Common English Bible is what I'm going to read. The truly happy person doesn't follow wicked advice, doesn't stand on the road of sinners, and doesn't sit with the disrespectful. Instead of doing those things, these persons love the Lord's instructions, and they recite God's instructions day and night. They are like a tree replanted by streams of water, which bear fruit at just the right time, and whose leaves don't fade. Whatever they do succeeds. That's not true for the wicked. They are like dust that the wind blows away. And that's why the wicked will have no standing in the court of justice, neither will sinners in the assembly of the righteous. The Lord is immediately acquainted with the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is destroyed. What a fun way to start the book of Psalms. Matt, in that psalm, in that beginning of this great book, what catches your attention?
In some ways, I hear parts of the creation stories in it. Notice I used the S on it. Mm-hmm. There's 2. Mm-hmm. If you didn't know that, there are 2. Zach, I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Almost aggressively, I know that.
But I think what stuck out with me was the last verse. The Lord is intimately acquainted with the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is destroyed. I see that as an anticipation of hope, that if we live a righteous life, that God will know us and be a part of us, and then the bad is destroyed. And, that's something that we all, even to this day, that's something we wrestle with. Like, the wrestle of good and evil is something that has just been a part of the human existence since the beginning of us. I feel like this is kind of a psalm of creation. It sets up the book of Psalms in a way of what is going to come. There is kind of some almost a little bit of lamenting towards those that are wicked. It talks about being a sinner a lot in this one. So there's I don't know, there's just something I've always enjoyed this one when I've read it. I always usually read it when I read Genesis 1, 2, because I feel like that they coexist together in a way that is beautiful in the art of literature and in the way that this is composed.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Zach?
Sure. Like you said, this really kind of lays out the structure of this entire book. If you take it as a collective, there's a lot here. It's not just prayers and songs of happiness. There's a more than reasonable amount of lament and grief and wondering where the heck God is in all of this, and why have you left us to this world. But there's also a lot of celebration and moments where the writers see God at work in their lives and are deeply connected in those ways. And a lot of conversation about the righteous and a lot of conversation about the wicked throughout this entire book. So I think Psalm 1 sets up the flow and the structure and really what we're going to find throughout the number of Psalms here. And I think that's really interesting as a book that's kind of put together as just a collection of prayers and poems and songs. It's clearly done well and with intent. And I think really kind of helps us in a way of finding that and finding where we are in the midst of these psalms. I think far often we take the wisdom literature like this and say, oh, it's always pointing this way, and we always have to be this way, and yet there's room for searching. There's room for us to lean towards righteousness and have those relationships with God, and there's room and there's grace for us when we don't, when we're having a bad day and when we're having rough moments in our life. I think Psalm 1 really kind of portrays that well in the ways in which God is in relationship with us and how that's a two-way street, right? Like what we do matters and affects our relationship with God. And yet God's always there. God's always paying attention. That seems a little, he's watching you and you sleep, but uh,
But
but God always has.
Psalm
Right.
139 says, you know me.
You know me, right? And I think that's the thing, right? Like I don't know that we always get it right when we talk about God's love in regards to the righteous and the wicked, that um, how God is in relationship with us, that it's the good and the bad, or us versus them, that no, God's in relationship with us, whether we are righteous or less than, if we're in a wicked space, because God knows us. And what God's hope for us isn't the wicked path, isn't the path that leads to nothingness, but a path that leads to wholeness and love and perfection in that love, which the area in between is nothing but grace. So I don't know. I think that's what really captures my attention and really gets me into the weeds on this psalm.
I think you could also ask yourself, where are you planted? Are you planted by a
Sure.
stream of water, or are you not planted well? Um,
I do like that picture.
yeah,
I like that imagery.
yeah. This is another one. Like I said, this psalm is kind of a psalm in it literally almost draws me back to creation when I take the creation stories when I read this. And I guess it's because I've been immersed in them in the last week, preaching on Genesis 2 on Sunday. And so kind of been in that headset already. But then seeing this and seeing how creation comes out of where we're planted is necessary, and the nutrients and all the things. Like, I'm not a gardener, I have brown thumbs, not green thumbs, but I think that asking ourselves, where are we planted, is a good thing. How are we grounding ourselves in God is important.
Mhm.
And I don't know, that's just uh, asking ourselves where we're planted is a good one. I think it's a good place to kind of land today. Where are
I
you
think so
planted?
too. I like that. That's some good imagery.
Since the last time we talked on Zoom, where have you seen God at work in your life? I know that's a loaded question this week, but
A loaded question.
I feel like it's a good one for you to reflect on this week.
No, it is a good question. In lots of places, mostly as my answer generally is in the folks of my church doing good and hard things, but also just being a community of support for one another, and in the moments I allow myself to be vulnerable enough in support of me, and so. Uh, Without getting into the weeds on that, just lots and lots of support um, through the hard work that we have to do as a church and as a community that doesn't always look nice and pretty and tidy. Yet people continue to step up, people continue to show up and be in spaces that I didn't expect them to be in. So for me, that's where God's been working at in my life, which has been really good and really helped me keep my sanity and mental health in check over the last few weeks. What about you, Matt?
Is it? Excuse me. Uh, so for me, um, I had a couple of conversations in this last week of people who found us through our website, and said that we like what we see in your community. And we definitely will be visiting when we're in town or we're new here. And like, that was a good reminder of the work that needs, like, one, I was like, oh, I need to make sure that's all updated, make sure all the information's currently updated. Because we're going through a cultural shift that starts this Sunday. And it was just a good reminder of how our presence in the digital space is important.
Mhm.
How we model even ourselves. Like I've thought about that a lot with all that's going on in our world. Like, how can I be a light on in social media when I know the world is not necessarily doing so hot right now? And I have found God in doing that work, just in a way of like when I get those compliments or comments from people, um, it it just, I don't know, it reaffirms what I definitely feel leaned into and called for sure.
Mhm.
And it's just been said. I've had just random phone calls or conversations with people who were connected to God through what we're doing, and I digitally, and I just found that really exciting. So that was really good.
Yeah, I love that.
Listeners, thank you for listening. We're grateful for you. And don't forget to check out our website at beardedtheologians.com. Last week, we interviewed Kara Edison, who has an amazing book out on for Advent. If you haven't gotten your Advent yet, this would be a good one to do because it has a bunch of resources for your church to utilize. It's not just a book. It has worship resources for you. And I want to lift that up because I feel like that's a great thing to have. And we've interviewed her last week, and you can hear more about that on our website. And also, don't forget to buy a t-shirt. It is coming up upon Pastor Appreciation Month. That is in October. So if you ordered a t-shirt today, it should be here by the time October rolls around, for you to
Mhm.
give that gift to your pastor. And so you can find all that on our website at beardedtheologians.com. And for our listeners, thank you for listening. I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
I want you to subscribe and like this video and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.